All right, we are now live. So I'm here right now with uh, Curran, who top, I guess I should say, finished in the finals of Sunday's Legacy Challenge and was actually undefeated in Saturday's challenge before he got a little bit sleepy there, after a long night of partying on Friday night. So welcome, Curran. I think this is the first time since for sure, definitely first time of this year, and I think the last time was perhaps November maybe of last year. I don't remember exactly. You can correct me on that, but welcome and congratulations, Curran. Sweet, sweet, sweet. So I think before we get started, I want to give up some. What I usually like to do is like I guess I call it administrative acknowledgments. So it was overall, in addition to current, a very good weekend for Cradle Control as well. Runcore Inigo also did really well. Went 6-2, beating Delver four times, 4-0 in the qualifier on Saturday, and then Eureka Mike got his first ever 5-0 with the deck, which is pretty sweet. Um, okay, quick question. Okay, so Joff just came back from a Legacy Weekly, so nice to have you here. And then I think let's just before we get started, anything you want to add? Any shout outs first? Awesome, awesome. So I guess we'll just jump into it. The first, like before we get started with checking out the replay, we'll take a quick look at the deck list first. Here for so February 5th. Initial thoughts on the deck list you played? So for those who don't know, Kern played essentially very close to the list I sent him. I think the only change he made was he forgot to swap out the layer of the Hydra for the 11th fetch, and I think everything else is. Oh, actually, he forgot to switch out the. Thank you for the follow, Scranton 01. I think you didn't play the opposition agent too, and you played the Mindbreak trap. But yeah, any thoughts? Yes. Yeah, you had Mindbreak trap over opposition agent. And then you had the layer of the Hydra, which is like in and out, I guess, at the time. Oh, one sec, one sec, one sec. It seems like chat cannot hear you. Okay, okay, what is going on here? Let me try to figure that out in real time. Sorry. Why is that the case? Phones. I apologize, chat. I thought it should work based on the settings that I have, but oh, I see why. All right, we will start from the top. I think they can hear you now. Can you say something?
Testing 1 2 3. Testacular is testing the microphone 1 2 3. How do my voice sound, chat?
Perfect. All right, they can hear you now. My apologies. I guess luckily, we weren't too far in. We'll start from the. I mean, welcome again for those who don't know, Curran, and then I don't. Was there anything we went over right now that maybe they should know, or do you think we can just like talk about this list? I guess.
I think we'll talk about the list, but yeah, actually I thought so when we had talked about the list before I took on the event, I thought Opposition Agent had just been cut altogether for the Chalice of the Void. I
Uh,
thought that was the switch.
it was like some combinations of anti-combo cards for sure, and definitely Agent. I think I'm actually glad you didn't register it because it just feels like unless you're just gearing for the mirror. I mean, and when I say the mirror, I mean the exact mirror, right? Like
Yeah, the
the
one that searches more often,
correct.
basically.
And then I think outside of the mirror, I don't. I think it's kind of slow to be honest. And what are your thoughts on the list you played and uh and what you like or didn't like?
So thoughts on the list I played. I thought it was overall pretty well rounded. I definitely kind of missed the fourth Thoughtseize altogether.
Mm-hmm.
But it's funny because like the matchup I actually missed it in the most was the one where like we ended up putting in Leyline over four Thoughtseize in so against Reanimator, but I think Thoughtseize is overall like a very important card against Reanimator because of the show and tell sideboard package, and you also mentioned that earlier in the Discord
Mm-hmm.
about me losing to the show and tell package in Game Three in the finals.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but the mind break trap, actually, the one time it showed up, it kind of acted as a red herring, and I'll
Mm-hmm.
explain more when we pull into that game.
Mm-hmm.
But I was thoroughly disappointed with its performance, and also I'm still kind of thinking this card might be weak in general against like Thoughtseize storm decks such as Anton Tess, because they can just check for it before it matters. But
Mm-hmm.
those decks are a lot less popular, and I guess this card is more catch-all against like Rite of Flame. Anyway, I'm rambling a little bit, but I'll pass the mic back to you.
No, no, you're good. You're good. So it sounds like you were pretty happy with the list overall, outside of maybe the Mind Break Trap, and I think you wanted the fourth Thoughtseize, which is like in line with. I think I sent the latest update. Granted, like things are moving at warp speed. With people like to joke, stock in our list is like 2 days, right? Especially lately when we kind of overhauled the deck a second time, right? The first time being when Fiend Artisan first got introduced as a four of. But it sounds like you are in we're in alignment where we want four Thoughtseize, and I'm thinking maybe going forward, cut the Mindbreak Trap, cut the Chalice. Obviously, we got to switch it in and out to throw people off balance, but maybe for the fourth Thoughtseize and maybe for the second Force of Vigor. What do you think about that?
I think that's pretty strong because Force of Vigor is also strong in the matchups that are kind of scary with like Rite of Flame and things
Mm-hmm.
like that anyway. So it kind of doubles up there, and I think it fills in the areas of concern just as well,
Mm-hmm.
while still being very powerful against like Saga strategies or just overpowering the 8 cast matchup even more in our favor. That's insane.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Also, with four seasons, I think turn zero hate is probably higher value. Like challenge is nice, but you have to get a first turn. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Man,
And oh, go ahead.
yeah. I was just gonna say I'm really excited to go over the games though today because I'm remembering that Chalice did a little work in this in this challenge run as well.
Nice. And any quick thoughts before we start on Lair of the Hydra? Did you like it? Not like it? TBD.
Lair did some work for showing up. Like, I mean, it is I still kind of think that the more optimal thing to do is run an 11th fetch land just to
uh-huh.
keep like the reclaimers on and like the mana base clean.
Hmm.
But like for what it's worth, Lair did some work and that was cool to see, and that's always cool to see. So
Nice. Yeah, I was actually thinking about it just today. Like, one of the ways to attack our deck is with, can't search type effects. So the two that come to mind are like Opposition Agent and Grafdigger's Cage, right? Now, we had more insulation before with Boseiju against Grafdigger's Cage, but I actually think Lair the Hydra is kind of a very elegant solution to beat cage because you can find it off a reclaimer and it's not a creature, and then it's a green source, which is really nice too, and just run them over like when you have a lot of mana, right? Like, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think it's kind of a cute way to get around all that and still present like a threat out of the deck
Hmm.
that can be pretty explosive.
Okay, so while you bring up your replay, the thing is, Lair can be tutored, Joff. So that is one advantage for what it's worth. Whereas Bosages, you kind of have to just have it in hand. For opposition agent, two Grist, I think we feel pretty safe against like these agent decks, and they're not even popular in the first place. But I'm gonna go ahead and grab a quick beer, as tradition holds, and we'll take a look at your screen.
Yep, sounds good.
So I'm gonna bring up your screen. Uh, Pop that out. All right. Maybe make this go down. All right, and then give me 1 second to grab a beer. I apologize for not having that ready.
No worries. I've got mine ready, so let's cheers it up.
All right. I have my beer ready. If you want to cheers to your success here, past and present and future, I guess.
Cheers.
Cheers. So whenever you're ready, let's pop right into it.
Perfect. All right. Well, let's start with round one, game one. I believe this was Blue Red Delver. Let's see what kind of opener we get. Oh yeah, that's I mean, pretty solid opener, right? Like Natural Order and Collector Rufy are kind of like weak, but in the blind, it's fine.
Yeah, I definitely would keep that in the blind. Against Delver, it's a little dicier, but again, we don't really most hands.
All right, so Delver comes down and replay is kind of moving slow. Here we go.
Ooh, awkward first draw.
So it was four fetches. It was three fetches, a snuff out, and a cradle in that Once Upon a Time.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable what you did right now. Also, the critical deck thinning, right, that goes along with pre Once Upon a Time.
Exactly, exactly. Gotta follow the rules.
Very ecstatic that you went 3-1 against Delver in the event, and especially some of two of those wins were in the top eight too. So that's like very nice to see.
Yeah, I was a little bit sad when I lost to Juju being in the Swiss. It was brutal. The games were so crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of tried to test the waters with Days on that Oofy, but we ended up top decking Allosaurus Shepherd here anyway to
Uh
just
huh.
kind of create the win.
Nice. I like it when it's easy mode, right?
Yeah, I think. Oh wait, no, maybe this actually isn't the win. Right, there was an unholy heat, and I think the last two cards in hand are for something.
Wow. Okay.
Yep, never mind. Yeah, so Force Expressive. They have zero cards in hand. We're
Mhm.
still kind of on the aggro here.
Interesting. Okay, so I think there I might have been tempted to hold the oof back, but I think I guess it's fine as a blocker.
Yeah, I think I'm just trying to race, and I kind of just hope they top deck nothing, and they did.
So I
I
do
think
like your play better in the I guess in the instance that they do choose a chump block one to turn on delirium. So I think that's reasonable.
also now they bogged. Man, this replay is really trying to chug along here.
No, I think it's frozen. It says Testacular wins already.
Oh, haha, yeah. So I think they scooped to that then.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
makes sense. Also, very heads up. I think the audience may or may not recognize this, but very heads up pre main phase bog because what that does is it prevents instant speed shenanigans into delirium. You know what I mean?
exactly. That's why we just fired it off right there.
Right. Very heads up. Very heads up.
All right, so we're going into game two, and we have to mull this hand because the mana is pretty
Sketch.
fragile, and we keep this hand instead, which is kind of great. So question here for you: what do you put back, and why?
I think being on the draw here, it's close.
Yeah,
I want to keep it all right, but
yeah.
I think if it were me, looking at this hand, because we definitely want to keep at least two lands plus Snuff Out plus Reclaimer, and then it's between, in my opinion, uh, Allosaurus Shepherd or the third land. And I think if it were me, I just want to hit land drops and get to Endurance, and I would probably put back the Allosaurus Shepherd.
So you know the conversation we've been having about Allosaurus Shepherd? I I was obviously on the same wavelength here, and I just put it away because I was like, these cards are insane in this matchup.
Yeah, the other
Hello?
three cards are just obscene in the matchup. So I think we just want to hit land drops. No, I'm glad we're on the same wavelength. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, like like I had concerns when you started talking about it on Twitter, but I was like, I mean, I did bottom one against Delver, like this, this run, so.
Yeah, it's consistent at least. Yeah, low key. For those who don't know, we are having internal discussions about what to do with Allosaurus Shepherd. It is kind of the weakest card in the deck now.
It's surprising, but it's true. So unfortunately, they have. Oh yeah, I decided to snuff out before damage.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then unfortunately they have like the wasteland pin here, but I decided to try to like spring the trap a little bit by grabbing a fetch just to see. They don't spring it at all though. They're just kind of cool with all of this, I guess.
Very interesting that they don't fire out the wasteland. I think I would there if I were them.
Yeah, I was kind of like just trying to get them to do it, but like they didn't seem interested. Oh yeah, so they double waste me this turn, which is
So
kind of sick.
interesting. Why didn't you play the Cradle so that you can fire off the Endurance? Oh,
So
I see what happened. You already played your
yeah,
land drop.
yeah.
Okay.
All right, so now we're on this.
Oh, I see what happened with them. They kept a one threat hand and got severely punished.
We catch a force of will on the green sun for one, and just keep beating.
Also,
Oh
shout out
hey, we
to
got a raid.
yeah, shout out to Straz Daddy. Thank you for the raid. My green son brother from another mother, as he likes to say.
That's fantastic. Oh yeah, so here comes Murktide Regent probably.
Mhm. So I think one thing I would have done a little bit differently, perhaps, is maybe bog them preemptively because
Instead of attacking.
yeah, but I think it's like reasonable. You're putting them under pressure, but I think that I probably would have done that. What do you think? Thoughts? Would you have done it differently?
Yeah, that that might not have been unreasonable. I think I thought about it, and my only problem with it was that I'm already low on. This is my last Bayou, which means that Snuff Out is off if I
Mm-hmm.
throw it away, which means I'd have to throw away Cradle to bog them,
Uh huh.
which isn't great either.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, it's a little bit awkward because they had double wasteland there. Um, but yeah, for sure, it was definitely a little bit awkward.
I decided to fire this off second main just to get rid of the three card types they had because none of them were instants or sorceries at that point, and just kind of keep the DRC down.
Oh,
Uh,
to play around days potentially top deck is reasonable.
yeah, and then they just straight passed that turn. They didn't want to attack. They're afraid, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And then so I fire off Finhorn and I'm like, okay, Green Sun for 3, get Grizz.
Too good, too good. I love it.
See ya. And then the game ended.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's just a million damage coming in.
Yeah, so pretty clean round one against Blue Red Delver.
Yeah, the I think we've talked about this, right? We just need to hit land drops, and then we're good to go in most situations.
Yeah, so this round two is Esper Cephalid Breakfast. It's the one with the wizard cycling tutor,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it played. No, I don't think it played any Aether Vials. But
Actually, know your opponent. I think, I believe this is Sam Raukis, but I could be wrong.
for sure. Saga doesn't leave a lot to the imagination, I guess. Like,
You're kind of happy, to be honest, that you have the collector oop now in hand.
yeah, exactly. I'm like, all right, let's see where this goes. Oh yeah, Finhorn Elves got Force of Will, so that was pretty neat.
I think actually I would have done that a little bit differently. And this could just be less, reps with Lair of the Hydra. As a general rule of thumb, that's kind of a card you kind of want to lead with turn one. And it has to do with the fact that it could mess up your sequencing later on. But that's something that like comes up once you get more reps with the card.
For sure, for sure. Good to know.
Yeah, it's awkward when it screws up your line like later on. So that's just something to keep in mind. Also, the with Cradle in hand, I like fetches because they're virtual arbors.
Yeah, that's actually true as well. I need to like be more mindful of that for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I think here I slam lair anyway.
Yeah, I think definitely got a slam layer now, um, because of the what was I gonna say? I think that you got a slam layer now because of impending turns. It'll be tapped, but the collector oof here to shut off their artifact nonsense is solid because Reclaimer still needs to untap and just be dead.
Right. Oh yeah, and this collector if he means it days after the step through. Yeah, so that's game.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Unfortunately,
Yeah, I
Shuko
don't
into
think we're beating
Cephalid.
that regardless, right? Like they have forced your turn one play, days your turn two play. I don't like. There's no sequence events outside of having natural snuff out, right?
Yeah, no way out of that one. So we'll go on to game two here. It was just kind of a nuts hand, honestly.
This hand?
No, their hand was nuts in game one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I agree. Like they had two pieces of excuse me, two pieces of protection spell and turned three combo.
Yeah. So we kept this hand game two. It's pretty alright. Does
Ironically,
things.
ironically enough, this hand is better if you mulliganed.
Yeah, sadly. Right?
Put that bog back, right?
Sad. Sad that it's here. Yeah, so I think I just hit it with the Vendetta while Days is payable, and then hit in.
Mm. So I think if it were me there, I probably would have done it a little bit differently because I don't think the one damage is worth it, and I think I'd rather play the Reclaimer off the Landlord Elves, keep Vendetta up, and then keep a fetch land up. That way you can get a Arbor, right, to advance your board.
Yeah, that's a good point.
This also, like, in a way, punishes them if they go for the combo, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's fair. Therapy goes off for snuff out, misses. Now we have a Bojuka Bog target.
I love that. Yeah, that looks good. I love that. What is it called? No, I forgot. I love that people have to go for the combo scared now because of Snuff Out. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So small nitpick here. I don't, and it actually doesn't matter in this matchup. But I think if you know you're gonna green sun for 2 for Artisan, I would probably fire that off before the bog because you gotta eat their force there anyways.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
But I don't think it matters actually in this matchup.
Not for this deck specifically, but that's good sequencing advice
Right.
because, just in general.
Right. In case, I think in this matchup they don't have any kind of recursion, but like against Murktide decks or whatnot, ooh, that is a nuts draw.
Yeah, we're not going to lose to creatures anytime soon. I think it was two shepherds, a fiend artisan, and a couple other things, but fiend artisan seemed like a pretty good take.
I agree. And then you not only that, you have Vendetta backup too. So it's like if you untap with Artisan, we're probably winning this game, right?
Yeah, it's very likely at this point. Like they're pretty low on resources. Oh yeah, Teferi was a bit of a thorn, but it's whatever.
I mean, it is what it is, right? So I think they're why
You would
not
have held
attack?
up
Yeah.
uh, Reclaimer for Cradle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that would have been better. I guess I was just feeling really aggressive today,
I
or
think
like that day.
I think if you suspect Solitude, then yeah, I can see that. But I don't think the stock list run that at the moment. Ooh.
Oh yeah, this was hilarious. Hey, construct. And now I hold up for Cradle here. Two Shukos, a Narcomoeba, and that's it. Oh, drew the extra Cradle because why not?
Mhm. I'm curious. Did you name Construct over Wizard because you felt like that's the only way you could lose?
Yes.
Okay,
At that point, just because I had the vendetta, I was like, they're
makes
not
sense.
going to creature combo me,
Mm-hmm.
and the constructs stand in the way of my blockers. Like,
Mm-hmm.
but it probably didn't really matter either way. I could have probably named Wizard and
Mm-hmm.
still had the same outcome because I'm winning with Hoof here anyway.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I think, given that they were already low on resources because they forced your play, and then they fell behind because they went for the not they didn't go for the combo, but you had a ton of removal, right? So like they're pretty down on cards already. So I think it's reasonable. Thinking because one of the ways they can pull back into the game is with the card advantage of Saga. So that makes sense. I'm assuming that's what your
Yeah,
thinking is, right? Yeah.
yeah. That's what I'm thinking.
Hmm.
And then so yeah, we go into game 3 against the breakfast deck. Look
Wow.
at this. Look at this.
Wow.
I feel very powerful. So yeah, they start with a little nomad guy. I start with a reclaimer.
Hmm.
Ponder into a shuffle into a plow.
Small nitpick. I think given that we're a little bit flooded there, I'm probably would have played the Bayou in case we needed the fetches to represent creatures, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. I guess I'm still like playing to the heuristic of getting Reclaimer online ASAP.
Right, right, right. That
Uh,
makes sense.
so that's why I just like aggro fetched that one out.
Hmm. Yeah, sometimes also, especially in long tournaments, easy to what is the word I'm looking for? It's easy to tunnel vision, right? Or it's
Yeah.
autopilot. It's probably the better word. It just so feels so nice to have that ley line turn 0.
Yeah, it's nice and cushy.
The games look completely different because you know you're like not under any pressure. I think again, small nitpick there. I probably bluff Vendetta.
Oh, yeah, by tap just summoning with Arbor. Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
So they present it, but don't have anything, and I just snuff out for good measure, honestly. I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
pull up their exile too,
Mm-hmm.
just because it kind of matters. Figure it's best to just keep it off the table.
Mm-hmm. I think if it was one nomads on core, I would have snuffed out the one nomads in case they had the natural oracle or step through. But because it was two, I felt like that was almost. I think your line of just waiting because it's almost like bait uh, is reasonable.
Every time I summon an artist in,
To
Teferi's just like, I'm here to bounce it.
fair, ironically enough, is very good and very bad against us at the same time.
Yeah, so I wanted to turn my stuff outs back on, so I decided to just swing in here. I
That
think
makes
all at
sense.
Teferi.
I actually like that your play right there because the snuff out it's a lot worse if we have to main phase it.
Yeah, and they actually ended up plowing, and so I decided this would be the opportunity to destroy it in case they had any same turn shenanigans. It was
Mm-hmm.
unlikely, but I just wanted to be safe.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, they have another Nomads Encore, but we draw Zenith,
Mm-hmm.
which first we swing in it to Fairy. They don't block. Uh, I grabbed a Reclaimer here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not
Did you
sure
keep
if
in? I didn't see.
uh,
Did you keep in Gris? Any copies? Okay, you didn't. So I think the
no.
getting the reclaimer there is solid. Since they have essentially both two part A of the combo, if that makes sense.
So here I grabbed a Mana Donk so I could turn it into a Plague Engineer
Nice,
and
I
just
like
name
it.
Wizard,
Mm-hmm.
because yeah, and they play Construct
And
into
you have the
another
biggest creature on
Comfort.
board, anyways.
Yeah, so interestingly enough here, I think I ended up taking this trade because I wanted to grow my Fiend Artisan and
Mm-hmm.
be in control here.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of forced to just pass back for the moment because I'm low on life total.
Makes sense.
Figure just thin the deck,
That's
hit
a
it
great
once upon
draw.
a time.
Unfortunately, it whiffed.
Yeah, like awkward.
Definitely a really good draw. It's just it happened to whiff.
They draw Tef, and they come in, and I use the Plague Engineer to trade off the Construct just to keep my life total somewhat stable. We find the Force of
Vigor, right?
but yeah, just gotta hold on to it for now. This is an interesting draw. It's kind of ineffective at the moment, though.
Mm-hmm.
And they kicked Orem's Chant there
That's pretty
just to
funny.
keep me from attacking.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. So they Tef bounced the ley line, killing Teferi. This is
Mm-hmm.
where this gets interesting. Play the illusionist, and in response, I force of vigor the Shuko.
Nice.
So the illusionist is all that's left, and then they ending the shepherd afterwards, which is a big oof if they have the counter spell.
Correct. If they had the force, they could have easily just drawn into prismatic ending too, for what's worth.
I decide this is probably a good opportunity to redeploy the ley line. And they did have a force there for that green sun, so that's kind of interesting. Wonder if they misplayed.
Either that or they drew the force or off
Oh,
the
the Priz ending. Yeah. That's true.
like yeah they could
Uh,
have drawn one or the other, right?
yeah.
So for our opponent's sake, we can just give them the benefit of the doubt, I guess.
I'm holding the snuff out just in case they try to play something that is a blocker. They cast a step through to return the 2 target creatures, just the hard cast. And I respond by killing the illusionist just to get it dead.
Mm-hmm.
And they send it back. Let me just draw another Fiend Artisan,
Yeah,
because why
we're way
not?
ahead right here. Hey, Romario.
What's up, Romario? Yeah, so we got two drop Titans.
So I think you played this really well. And the reason why I say that too is I do think the life you saved by chump blocking the Reclaimer probably mattered.
Yeah, it looks like it very much did in this case. So yeah, on this turn, I decide to play the Artisan, and then I'm gonna natural order it, get the Crater Hoof, and
Nice.
just end it.
Yeah, don't give them another turn.
Yeah, exactly. No more turns for you.
No,
Yeah, so that man, Cephaloid Breakfast is always such a grindy and like weird feeling matchup the entire time. Like it's the only one where I'm like kind of scared that they're just gonna jump out of nowhere and get me, you know?
no, I feel you on that because like, I mean, it's not that we don't have the tools. I think we do. It's just that this matchup ends up considering that they're a combo deck and we're like sort of a combo deck, not entirely anymore, but we're like almost a prison deck, right? In the matchup at least, and it gets real grindy because of all the interaction on both sides.
Yeah, but it the board, for what it's worth, the board plan feels really solid right now. Running Snuff Out main feels really solid against this matchup.
Mm-hmm.
Like I like our breakfast matchup overall. I just get nervous grinding it.
Yeah. I think I like the matchup overall too, and then usually, sorry, I'm chewing on ice. Usually, I gauge how others are doing in the matchup to see if their uh, experiences line up with mine. And I know Mike Eureka 22422 also 5-0 with it recently. With breakfast as one of the matchups with this deck.
Right. I think that's accurate. Before we begin this one, I'm gonna re-up a beer. I'll be right back.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and use the restroom. Please post your questions here, and then I'll be back in a minute as well.
Alright, I am back. Oh, snap. I beat our host. What's up, chat? Heyo, what's up? What up? Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Uh, I still think it is because of the Natural Order Crater Hoof and like Allosaurus Shepherd additions. Like that still kind of like defines it as an elf strategy, I suppose.
Yeah, the only actually elf payoff now is just Allosaurus Shepherd, and even that card, we're like, this might be the worst card in the deck.
Yeah, we might actually just be resurrecting the rock. Like that's kind of what we've been doing for
Hmm.
the past couple years. It's just like necromancy on the rock.
Pretty much, just all green like and black good cards. Right, the green is actually really important. I think, aside from obviously the cradle implications, but it's actually what makes I think our deck good in the sense that we're actually arguably more consistent in my opinion than the blue decks because the whole deck is all tutors, right?
Yeah, and deranged hermit soon, hopefully.
We could maybe as a fun of one day. Although there's a new
Just
one,
for
right?
you.
I forgot what it's called.
Oh yeah, the one with vanishing instead of like echo.
Yeah. The one in Modern
Uh,
Horizons.
yeah, yeah. It's a Modern Horizons card. It fits the checklist.
It does. Just like
Broken. Check.
more fire cards, right?
Yeah, exactly. All right, so we're gonna go to round three here. This is the first initiative matchup of the day, and it's the red-white build. Keep a pretty okay hand, you
Yeah, I
know.
think it seems reasonable to be honest.
They mulled to 5, so that's pretty good.
Doesn't
Um,
hurt.
yeah. Once upon a time, I find a shepherd. I kind of wish I stopped at that window for a second, because I'm just gonna go ahead and do this. Uh,
Thank you for the follow, Wumpus.
Wumpus is also in local to me. His name is Andrew, and he's picked up the deck and paper, and he
Mhm.
started playing it at our local FNMs. And I'm really excited to have somebody else representing the deck. So
Nice. Yeah, actually, Wumpus, Andrew has been in contact with me via DMs. I don't always do this, although if it's a quick question, I'll answer it. But he recently became a Patreon subscriber, and I want to shout out Kieran here for recommending that to him. Through the alley oop, pretty much to me here with the Patreon subscription. But here's my socials again for those of you curious. I think if you just really want to learn the deck, honestly, you don't need Patreon. The first thing to do is probably just watch the videos, and then Patreon is if you're really interested in the deck. I think.
yeah, you'll learn a lot just by subscribing to the Patreon. It has so much information, sideboard maps. Just even I use the sideboard maps still, and I'm considered, one of the main pilots of the deck. That spreadsheet has saved my life so many times during like challenges and things like that. I'll be like, I'm pretty sure I know this, but I should double check. Oh yeah, that comes in because it has this effect in the matchup.
Mhm.
Newton's well, you put a lot of like forethought into that guide, and I really appreciate the work you do. So
Thank you. I appreciate the kind words, Kern. I remember too one time like it bit you because you didn't have access to. Part of the reason too is because for a while it was I only posted the spreadsheet version, or Microsoft Excel, right? And Kern I know didn't have that. Um, So I remember he didn't check it, and then he's like, "Ah, I should have just not been stubborn. Should have asked for it."
Yeah, yeah. Um. Anyway, back into this game. I see why I took Shepard here. Seems like a
Hmm.
pretty okay pick.
Yeah.
Oh, for playing this like it's the actual game. All right, on to their turn where they reveal their big bad selves with this sweet ancient tomb pass line that I love.
Yeah,
Uh,
the old good old do nothing turn one, right?
yeah. So I do a preemptive fetch, and I'm just getting ready to go find a cradle. And they exile White Plume Adventure so they can cast a turn two Caves of Chaos Adventure, which is like, all right, that's
Really good
kind
against
of
us.
yeah, it's kind of really good.
Actually, can you pause it for a second?
Yeah,
Also, for those who haven't played this deck a long time, current I know really went through it real quickly. The reason why you main phase fetch there, I mentioned this a few times on my stream, but it's so you don't get blown out by removal on their turn.
that's correct. It's a little more relevant versus bolt-based removal, where
Mhm.
it does the 3 damage, but it's still a good habit to have even against like Swords to Plowshares, since you can just gain a little more life on the way out.
Well, not even that. It's just if they can just what's it called? They can plow you on the fetch activation if you don't do it main phase.
Oh right, yeah, yeah, yeah. So that yeah, it's all bad. So we got the post plow.
Yes, he would have been punished right there, right? No cradle.
Yeah, but we have the shepherd into fetch for arbor, into play fiend artisan and pass.
And they're hellbent or close to it, so feeling pretty good about this.
They reveal seasoned dungeoneer, which I was not excited about. However, they opted not to play it in order to plow the fiend artisan,
Hmm.
and then play a archon of Emeria. So this is kind of where it's interesting, right? So we play our land here and just play Oofy with the intention of flashing into the endurance, and we can block the Archon and save just enough to just basically untap a natural order.
I love it. I love it.
So yeah, we go to 9, and then the trampler is gonna deal 7. So this was very, very close. They reveal Lotus Petal off Caves of Chaos Adventure. Thank God that's not relevant.
Uh huh.
The endurance hits the Archon. We go to exactly 2 life. They play a Lotus Petal. They send it back, and we are able to bam bam
Nice.
natural order for the hoof and get the win.
I love
Ugh.
it. I love it when with this deck. One of the reasons why I think people struggle and it's a little bit hard for players is because they don't plan ahead. It's very much so that you have to plan at minimum one step ahead, if not two turns ahead.
Yeah, you gotta have a game plan. You gotta
Y-
like the entire like once I figured out they were initiative, like I knew I had to go wide, and thankfully I had the hand to do so on the next turn.
No, I think you played that
So
beautifully. I think what I want to say that is, yeah, I think Curran and I have talked about this. Having a macro level game plan is so important for this deck because this is not really like the traditional elf list where you just like blindly jam spells, if that makes sense.
ride a glimpse chain to a hopeful victory, and most of the time get there because the power level of the deck is generally pretty high.
Right, right, right. Like if a glimpse of nature resolves and you have like 5 mana, probably not losing no matter what you do.
Yeah, exactly. Like Nell Sentinel just untaps, makes you all the mana, etc., etc. So,
Well, even
um,
if with the reclaimer version, I think it's still accurate, right? Like if you draw five
oh yeah,
cards,
yeah, yeah.
it's gonna bury your opponent in most cases.
All right, so we're on to game 2. Let's take a look at our 7. Oh, wonderful. It works.
We have the best card in the matchup here.
This felt interesting, right? So they play this Fable, and I just get this feeling like maybe this Goblin Shaman is more important than we realize. Like maybe because my opponent has three cards in hand here. What
Hmm.
if the Shaman is their primary source of mana? So check this out. They're at four cards in hand and they discard a single mountain, and I'm just like, oh yeah, no, they're trying to bank on this. So I
I
hit the
love it.
shaman with the snuff out, and lo and behold, no follow up.
Wow,
Sent
I
it back.
love it. So, okay, this is such a good play because I know there's a lot of elf pilots that would just mindlessly fire off the snuff out on main phase. And Kern was really heads up to allow them to discard first so that they don't have the knowledge that they need the shaman. That is such a clutch play. I love it.
Yeah, it just felt so dirty. And so yeah, the Fable flips here to a 2/2, but alas, our opponent still has no mana. So uh-oh, SpaghettiOs, it's time to make them a bunch of 5/5s and swing.
I love it.
And then I think the next turn I could grab Hoof if needed, but I pass and they concede. So just absolute blowout
Mhm.
thanks to Snuff Out. Just
I think the only thing I might have considered there is in case they have the solitude, maybe when we want to grist take care of the Kikijiki. Is that a concern?
wait. So getting Grist to take care of like the reflection.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Just in case. I know you were really ahead, but if they had it, we could be in trouble there.
Like they would have to have Petal and another Soul Land to present a threat while having the mana up uh
What?
to
Well, they would lose the
activate.
solitude. I'm just saying if they evoke it is all.
Oh, right.
But
Yeah, that's a good point. I guess I played with no fear and I got rewarded.
so I will joke a lot of times because Terminus is back in the metagame. Unfortunately for us, elf players, uh, there's like a Flappy Bird joke that dang, if you fly too high, you're gonna lose to snap, plow, snap, right? If you go too low, you're gonna lose to Terminus. I think that's along the lines of the meme. But
Yeah, it's like overextending versus like
not
playing
being
triple
aggressive enough,
threats.
right?
Yeah.
And I like to joke if you are unsure or when in doubt, it's better to be over aggressive than under aggressive. Sometimes they just don't have
Yeah,
it.
sometimes. So this was Mono Black Depths here in round 4. Which is interesting. I haven't really seen that. I didn't really expect it going into like round 4 3-0, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It
It's kind of
wasn't
fallen off the radar too because I don't think it probably doesn't have a great initiative matchup.
yeah, but anyway, this hand is kind of sketchy because like we've got the two natural orders, we got like
The
just a couple
Arbor,
one drops, but I think I end up keeping it.
I think so too. I think if the Arbor were a bog, I probably would put that back. Like I would keep this on a six, so that would be my logic. You never really want to mulligan with this deck.
Yeah, the Reclaimer was a nice draw
It
though.
was, it was. Anytime I see Urborg turn one, I'm not really happy to see this matchup. Well, that was an
Yes,
interesting take on their behalf.
yeah, they took the Thoughtseize, the natural order
Okay,
because they
that makes
have a
sense.
grief into the next one.
Right. I was gonna be like, that must signal they have another discard spell, right?
We rip another cradle. But we just deploy all the creatures here and
Yeah, we're gonna
pass.
hit for 15 next turn.
Draw Lair of the Hydra. I don't think they understood what was happening here.
Yeah.
Or maybe they were just trying to soak damage.
Yeah. Otherwise, they're at three, right?
Yeah, but this needle named Shepherd. Okay, yeah, now I remember what happens in this game. this was so wild. So I'm like, wow, two pithing needles. That's insane. Where are they gonna name? Looks like they're studied enough to name Fiend Artisan. They know. They know
Yeah.
where the archetype I'm on.
The funny thing is the
So
lair is quite good here.
yeah, so I hit a once upon a time. We take a look, and
Ooh.
yeah, we got Grist, but no black mana, but I have Reclaimer, so I think I grab Grist here. Oh wait, I have black mana
For the
floating.
Urborg.
Oh, Urborg, right. So yeah, I tap Cradle for the Urborg mana,
Mm-hmm.
and I have to play another Cradle because the Lair's not gonna do it
Mm-hmm.
to play the Grist, but it's still worth it. I think we nuke the guy, and we just get in, putting him to 5.
I agree, it's still worth it. I would still, lose the cradle, put pressure, right?
Yeah. So, what do you think they're gonna go get with this Saga?
It's still
Oh
two
wait,
turns away.
it's still 2 turns. Okay, never mind. Hold on. Right. First, we have to get to this part. So I play out the guy, and I pass because they have the thing up, and it'll become a 4/4.
Mm-hmm.
Wait. Why did I just? Oh, right. Yeah, because Shepard's turned off by Needle, so I can't really attack very profitably.
I think we got a little bit punished for tapping wrong on the previous turn. You know what I mean? We
Yeah.
could have had the lair a turn earlier.
Yeah. I think so.
Something to keep in
Looking
mind going
back.
forward. I know, like, it's easy to tap wrong in that situation, but again, that illustrates the difficulty of this deck. Like, you have to really plan ahead.
Oh yeah. So what do you think they grab off this Saga here?
If they have a shadow spear, maybe that. Like, that's the one thing I can think of.
Did you have third Pithing Needle
Oh
on your
my
bingo
god.
card? This to me is insane. Like, what are we afraid of? Like, what is this doing in the
I think
format
it's to
with
hit Wasteland. I
initiative?
think they're on depths, maybe.
Yeah,
Like that's the only thing I can
I
think of.
guess. I guess. Yeah, I think it's primarily for Wasteland, but it's just like, man, that's a lot of needles. Like, not what I expected at all. But we're able to make the Hydra
Oh, I love it.
a 6/6 here.
Get
So
in there.
they have to block, send it back.
Oh, I love it.
Finds a shadow spear. They reanimated my Dryad Arbor, which was kind of interesting.
Why would they
I
do that instead of
everything.
equipping their shadow spear?
I don't think they had enough mana because they played the Shadow Spear and they only had one land after
Oh,
that.
they just played it. Okay, I thought
Yeah,
they. Okay,
yeah.
gotcha.
No worries. And then so I play another Reclaimer after combat. They're at 2. Kind of left to top deck something. Oh right, yeah. So they Shadow Spear up. This is where it gets weird. Uh, and swing at me, putting themselves back to 9.
Awkward. Yeah.
We rip a land and swing back to fight off the lifelink a bit. They have another map. They have a spell bomb. It's a 9/9. It's coming in. We go to 4. We go to 3. We top deck Snuff out.
Woo! I love it.
Yeah.
Oh my god. It's funny too because Snowbat in this matchup is actually bad.
Yeah, it's wild, right? Like I'm just like, what? What is
Snowfall,
happening?
Snowfall against the mono black deck having applications. That is
They
wild.
in response though, they sacked it to village rights.
That is also wild. That the fact that they have that. This game is nuts, actually.
They spellbomb me to slow me down 1 turn because it shuts off the reclaimer.
Right. Otherwise, they're dead, right?
Yeah.
Oh my god, this matchup is nuts.
Hit him down to 2, bog him out, pass. They draw a stage, they pass. We swing, and that's it.
Nice.
So yes, very close. Surprisingly, Snuff Out versus Mono Black was quite good.
I'm only gonna tease you this, obviously, because I love you, Kern. But if you had, again, the planning matters, right? Like the layer of the Hydra, if you had a turn earlier, we wouldn't have been in the spot to have to top deck the Snuff Out there. But I'm glad it worked out.
Yeah, I should have done it. I should have done the lair instead of the cradle.
No, no, not even that. It was the tapping of the mana wrong for the Once Upon a Time. You know what I mean? So you couldn't layer
Oh, right.
because you needed the black source is the issue. But
Oops.
again, that's like a lot to pre-plan, so to speak. Uh-oh.
So we kept Snuff Out in because of the fact that they were like constructs were the scariest thing.
Okay,
Uh
so I have a quick comment on that. I've actually kept Snuff Out in the matchup, but not because of that. It's because I forget it's in the other section, and I forget to take it out.
oh.
Do you know what I'm referring to or no?
Like you mean like just in your natural order section and you're
Right, right,
just
right. I
like
just like
I
space out and
forget.
forget I'm supposed to take it out.
So they start with Sudden Edict there. Sadly draw Once Upon a Time. Just throw down an Artisan.
Any reason why you got a basic there instead of a second body?
Uh, I guess no particular reason.
Okay, I don't think it matters really, but
Oh god, yeah, they played March of Wretched Sorrow on it. That's what happened. Oh my god.
that's kind of nuts
Yeah,
that card is seeing play.
so they kill my Artisan, and I'm like, alright, cool. I guess I'll just go do it again. They snuff out my Dryad Arbor. They Ratchet Bomb here and then reanimate a Fiend Artisan, and I'm just kind of like, okay, I guess. Not sure what it all means necessarily, but I went looking for a cradle here and I found it. I'm
Heads
just
up,
like,
play by
all
the way.
right.
A lot of people won't realize you need a Once Upon a Time there.
Yeah, it's important to hit your land drops, especially if they're cradles. So at this point, I'm kind of like challenging his Ratchet Bomb a little bit,
Yeah, I don't think you
trying
care
to
actually.
see what they're gonna do. Oh yeah, so they march for 3 on my Fiend Artisan, and I'm like, in response, snuff out my own Shepherd,
I love it.
save its life.
This is a line that can come up against Delver or red based decks as well, where you snuff out your own creature in response to Fury, because they're gonna die anyways, right?
Yeah, and then I drew Grist, which was gross,
Yeah. Oh my god.
and I was
Talk about an
just.
insane top deck right there. As
And
crazy
I'm
as
just
this.
kind of like, if the Ratchet Bomb goes off at 2, they lose their Artisan as well, so I don't think I care.
Mm-hmm.
And they do it. I draw Progenitus, I'm like, perfect. A pitch card for Force of Vigor. Good to see. They hit my Insect with Sudden Edict. I make another one.
And then I think we just green some for two, right?
Yeah, we green some for 2, getting Artisan.
Yeah, they cannot beat that card.
They find
Ooh,
the depths, and oh yeah, so this was sweet. So I was like, we left 1 endurance in just for this kind of situation.
I love it. I love it.
So we grab it off this arbor, endurance, no target, tick up, and just pass
Ooh, okay, obviously small nitpick, but I think you should have pitched a token, right?
instead of the arbor. I thought maybe it would be better for like artisan power toughness to
Uh,
pitch the arbor.
It could matter. I'm just not sure it matters here, right? I think the mana could matter more, but I guess it doesn't matter for the most part.
Yeah, I didn't think the mana mattered as much. Like, I guess to close out the game, but I was just kind of thinking of like staving off and then swinging back for lethal.
Mm-hmm.
Because I figure they have to attack, but they actually end up choosing not to.
They
They get
can't, right?
scared.
No, no, I don't think they can attack because if they do, they lose, right? You kill them on the crackback.
Yeah, that's true. Um, but I draw another cradle
Oh my
anyway because
god.
I'm the best at this game. And I even tick up. I'm like in the face of it. I'm like, I don't even care if I get mill hoof. I'll still win
I
this.
was just gonna say you might mill the hook there.
And I didn't do it.
You're probably like, I'm not even afraid. We ain't gonna hit it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I wasn't afraid. I was just like, no shot. Like,
We're just gonna toy with our food here, pretty much. That's pretty hilarious. I love
just
it.
all balls to the
It's
wall.
one
Just
thing if
go
you
for it.
forget and you hit the with a hook. It's another if you just have no fear. Like, nah, I'm just gonna showboat here.
I just want the extra attack.
That's pretty funny.
So we move on to round 5, which is the second initiative matchup. And it's just the mono white one. This
Oof.
hand is bad,
Yeah.
sadly. So we had to ship. This hand is better.
Would you bottom?
Allosaurus Shepherd.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's a recurring theme here, right?
Something interesting is happening here. Yeah, so here's White Plume Adventure on turn 1. Lovely. We love that.
uh,
Uh and we end up just grabbing an elf, playing it out. They do a little scry and put both on bottom.
oof, that card.
Yeah, Archon was annoying to see, but we rip Snuff out.
Must be
So,
nice.
yep. We do a little ramping off one because we are not hitting a land drop here, and then we play one of the Reclaimers.
I think worth noting here is this exact situation is one of the reasons to play our version. I think the Neto Sentinel version is literally scoop on the spot to Archon.
Yeah, I think
I don't think
Archon,
they can beat it at all.
yeah, it's ridiculous. Also, another Archon is here, so that's cool. Here we end up, since the Reclaimer is goaded, I just decided pre-combat to activate it. Sadly, we had to give up the Bayou, but that Cradle is going to be more relevant if we can just get to the next turn.
Makes sense. Heads up play with a gold and main. I was gonna say why did you not wait, and then the fact that they goaded you makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, but I think it ends up not being good enough here because they have a Solitude Pitch as their last 2 cards in hand.
Ooh,
Pitching Chancellor of the Annex, by the way, cute new tech.
yeah. I
Uh,
think that card is actually kind of scary for us. The Chancellor build.
yeah, it is. It does look kind of scary. And now the problem is that the math doesn't work anymore unless we
Mm-hmm.
rip exactly fetch here.
Mm-hmm. It's
Uh,
not even fetch won't even work, right? It had to be
oh
exactly
yeah,
Arbor.
yeah, it would have to be exactly Arbor at this point, which we don't get, and the math doesn't check out. But I have to still, hope my opponent doesn't do it right. I only am able to swing for 16 here,
Mm-hmm.
and put them to 1.
Ooh,
And
so close.
that's Yeah, that was a heartbreaker of a game,
Mm-hmm.
sadly, and I was a little scared because I'm like, oh no, my initiative record has been so good lately. Like,
For what it's worth, that game was a lot closer than it should have been, given how good our opponent's hand was. And like I said, I think if that was the Neto version, that's a scoop on the spot, right? Like they just cannot beat Archon of Emeria, which is like a 4X now.
It's not four. It shouldn't be 4x main at all. In fact, actually,
It's not.
the initiative lists that I usually play against in paper have no Archon main.
I think there's two builds. Yeah, I think the list that Andrea Mangucci won the PTQ with is the Thalia version. So I think there's two derivatives, right? Like there's the Thalia version which has zero Archon, or maybe one or two at most, or the Archon version which I've seen have four, and that version tends to be a little bit better against everything but Delver. The Thalia version is better against Delver.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, right? Yeah, well, there have been a lot of interesting debates lately. My friend Sean is the one who plays initiative the most,
Mm-hmm.
or like the only initiative player at the shop, and I honestly think he's in the very high tier of initiative players in general. And I wish he would play more online because I think he would do well here.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but uh he and I have talked about the different lists, like Chalice versus Swords to Plowshares main. How many Touch the Spirit Realms should we run? Should Archon be in the main or be in the board? Like, is the Thalia build better? We there have been like quite a few conversations we've had around that lately, and
No, it's
it's
good.
interesting.
Yeah, it's good that you have somebody you can bounce off questions regarding a specific matchup, and not just initiative, just in general about. Also, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I just realized we have a 14-month subscription from my boy Mike here. So big thanks again for the support, Mike. Big friend. Of the program, I guess we'll say, and then actually Mike has been killing it too lately with his deck. I know he went recently 4-1 into 5-0 into 4-1. So like 13-2 is no joke, right? Especially for Mike, who is, I would say, has, I don't think ever played elves before, but I could be wrong. I think this is like essentially the first time.
We love Mike. Awesome. Yeah. No, I was super happy to get to meet him at the Pit Open. That was a lot of fun.
No, I am jealous I didn't get to meet everybody, but I promise once I get the chance, I will try to come out to one of these paper events. It's just that uh, I guess I can announce it right now. The reason why I haven't been able to play any paper events is my wife is pregnant. So I guess that is the life update on my behalf. So I've been busy. What is it called? Going through this stage with her before she delivers. But shout out to Mike too for giving me the tips. And then once I have some time, once the baby comes in and whatnot, then we'll see after that. But that is why I have not been really available, I would say, for paper play this past year.
Huge congratulations, by the way. I've secretly known for a little while that you were working towards that, and I'm very glad to hear that. That's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, I didn't mean to put you on the spot there. Curran and a few other people knew. I know Romario knew and Mike knew, but then it was kind of like not known to the public. But I guess this is a good time to bring it up because we're getting closer to the delivery date.
So awesome. Yeah, a good friend of mine just actually had his son recently, like Thursday. Uh, yeah, so cool to see new fathers.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's move into game two against the initiative deck here. Oh, look, a really good hand. Do we keep it? Yeah, definitely. Let's do it. All right. Oh yeah. So I think I remember what happens in this matchup, and it's kind of weird. Get ready.
I think
Um yeah.
I think here, yeah, we. the games that we have snuff out and don't have snuff out just look completely different, in my opinion. What do you think about that?
Yeah, like Snuff Out is just like insane. But funny enough, their turn one is spent. Oh, okay, yeah, they start with Argon. That's totally fine. That's not what I thought was gonna happen here. But we just hit it with the Snuff Out end of turn, make it no problem, and then just slam Grist. Uh,
Just got a sub
oh yeah,
or
it's
follow.
game three.
Thank you for the follow, Seattle's.
Uh, So we slammed the Grist here, and they moved to a March of the Otherworldly Light on the Mana Elf
Mm-hmm.
for some reason, you know.
Ooh,
But we draw a Zenith.
I'd be very tempted to hit their mocks here. Is that what you do?
Oh, with to get you mean getting Collector Rupee?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that would have been better. No, I just played to the one drops and hold fetch up for Arbor. Which yeah, in hindsight looks really bad because the Elite Spellbinder comes down now, and now they have Lotus Petal. Um, But we tick up Grist and they concede the game, so it doesn't really matter.
I love it. I love it. It's funny too because I don't know. I have this thing where Oof just randomly just shuts off entire decks, and that's why it's like a very cheese play. But hey, free wins are free wins, right?
Yeah, free wins is free wins. We'll take it. And now game three is where the spicy happens, the real spice. So our hand is okay here. Like we have the ramp, we have the Once Upon a Time. It's fine.
Yeah, I feel I would keep this hand. I just feel a lot safer when we have the snuff out hands, but can't have snuff out all the time.
Yeah, and they start with Trinisphere.
Ugh.
Which I Once Upon a Time in response to get another land.
Yeah, see,
Uh,
sometimes I will accidentally just click through it, and I just feel awful afterwards. But I'm glad you were paying attention.
yeah, so I decide, all right, well, I guess I'll just go get an Arbor end of turn, because we're not doing anything else. Opponent
Oh,
didn't have any kind of follow up.
oh, I actually don't think I would do that. For two reasons. Number one, if they happen to have any kind of removal, we probably lose the game. Number two, uh, I want to actually draw more lands. So just my two
I
cents at least.
gotcha. I was probably feeling bloodthirsty again. Uh,
Just no fear, right?
yeah, this is kind of how I play the deck, I guess, very aggressively.
For what it's worth, this is Kern's Nettle Sentinel history coming in here. I mean, I played Nettle Sentinel too, but I probably play it super assertively. Okay, unfortunately, I spoke it into existence here. There's the walking ballista.
So, but here's the thing, right?
They
Like
lost the
they're
city
going
though.
yeah, they lost their city and they're behind their own Trinisphere now, and it's like, okay, I guess I'll just go get another Arbor then. Draw Cradle like a boss, send it over, pass it back.
All right, this is what I call you're just running hot here, to be honest.
Well, the
Oh
deck
my
is
god.
designed to draw well, right? Like that's the whole point. You designed it so I draw good. Anyway, here's
Oh my
Grist.
god. All
They
right, you
paid
don't need
3
to
mana.
play perfectly if you just draw perfects in 3 turns in a row. Oh my
Yep,
god.
so that's it. GG. Yeah, they just did not have a good time from there. So I guess I just better lucky than good. That one.
We'll take it. We'll take it. Actually, generic question here. Ever since we've added the second grist, any thoughts on that? Is that like just stuck in the deck now, or is that reasonably cuttable at some point? For what do you think?
Uh, it's kind of glued in there a little bit. It's gonna take some convincing for me to be like, yeah, I'll cut it.
All right, can we take a quick break? I gotta use the restroom. I know I drank too much
Yeah, yeah,
alcohol
yeah.
here.
No worries. Yep, let's do it.
I am back.
Welcome back. So we're going into round six versus Blue Red Splash Black for Delver,
Mm-hmm.
for Snuff Out Delver against the Bean.
Mm-hmm.
I was a little nervous going into this one because they're a very good Delver player, and it's always challenging when you get the best
For sure, for
of
sure.
someone's archetype. Uh, so we mulled a six because it was kind of a weak hand. Um, and this six is totally fine, just bottoming Crater Hoof. And then we move into the game. So just start out with the Zenith, fire it off.
Mm-hmm. Looks good to me so far. The
They
other,
bobble them. Oh yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, the first hand was never really in consideration for a keep because you already mold a six anyways because there was a hoof, and then you had to awkwardly get a Bayou turn one because of the grist too.
Exactly. Yeah, there were just a few issues with it stability wise. Yeah, so Bolt hits the Arbor, which means that this fetch land will allow us to have a 3/4 Reclaimer, which is ideal.
Yes, sir. Ooh, two
And we
reclaimers.
actually have another one. I think I end up not wanting to play into Days here, so I just kind of hold up.
Hmm.
And they play a Delver into a Mystic Sanctuary tapped. Um, I play another Reclaimer, Days free, and then I decide to try to push for it to see if they have it, and they do have it. So the Zenith gets dazed, and we throw in 3 damage.
Mm-hmm. I think I would actually what is it called? Play the reclaimer in today's there, and I'll tell you why. It's because I think I want to slam artisan the following turn no matter what.
I see. Yeah, I kind of figured with the days out of hand, though, we can probably just slam Artisan next turn anyway.
Yeah, but we're behind a little bit, right? On terms of like mana.
Yeah, I guess that's true. We throw in for 6 damage. They take it. Throw down an Artisan. Send it back. Snuff Out enters the revealed zone. They have the fetch. They snuff out one of the reclaimers, get their Dragon's Rage Chandler online, and they swing in for 6, which makes me believe they have the follow up of Murktide Regent,
Yes.
which they do. Uh, and I just kind of hoped to rip a land there and didn't. So I end up passing because I want to hold up Reclaimer activation for Cradle.
Mm-hmm.
They hit Expressive Iteration into a Brainstorm, at which point I fire off a Bog here because the problem is that if Delirium comes online, they swing over me for lethal.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to Bog now because they only get one counter on the Murktide Regent, making it 10 in the air, making sure that I can stay alive.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Yeah, you're playing to
Um,
your outs essentially.
Yeah, so I hit him with Bog, and I'm just praying that I'll like get through this turn and hit fourth land. But they brainstorm and they find a Delver right off the bat, which is absolutely huge for them because they're able to fetch and then just cast a Ponder, and
Ooh.
that's it. Delirium's online, meaning
So
that we lose the game.
I think there is a chance you could steal this game if you didn't play around the days, and I think this is the type of game that um, that I think illustrates why I don't think we're afforded the luxury of playing around days uh, in the early turns of the game. So, for instance, if it's like an endurance and we're not under any pressure, then I may play around the days. But I think a lot of times we just set ourselves back too much if we play around it. Like ideally, we play into days with a one drop. It's backbreaking if we get the endurance days, but sometimes we have no choice, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I guess I'll keep that in mind for the
Mm-hmm.
future. Also, I did tell him snuff out Maine is a hell of a drug when he cast it against me, and he thought that was great.
Yeah, I like to joke. For those who don't know, the Zoomer, well, part of the Zoomer cabal. So Juju here, they started playing, and he actually top eight. I think I want to say one of the recent showcases or the PTQ with the main deck. I think it was the showcase. Yeah, I think it was the showcase. No, no, it
Yeah,
was the no, not the show. Yeah, it was a showcase where no, I take that back. It was a not the most recent PTQ, but the one before that, where the Zoomer part of the Zoomer cabal, you know, debuted the snuff out tech, and I like to joke that they owe, me and other people, namely Jax and our cabal, for the four snuff out main deck technology, because one of their Zoomer friends is actually in our elf Discord, and that's where they got the idea.
yeah, straight out of that. And then like, it's funny because shadow players will claim stake too. They're like, "Hey, we've been playing this snuff out card for a long time. Wait a second, you're just catching on to this." Like,
I will say yes. Shadow players and ninja players definitely were the first ones to play in Legacy and for a long time. I believe, as far as I know, we are the first ones to play four copies main, and or just four copies. I think in the 75.
that's
Uh,
true. Well, the shadow players usually had three main, one side,
I think
uh,
that's
leading up to the scam change.
I think that was only kind of recent, right? Because I have it here on Go Fish or whatever. The first 5-0 from me on with the four snuff out main was goes dates back to December, and I think they only recently went to the four snuff out copies, because I know this because Mike plays, who's in our Twitch chat right now, plays Shadow, and he mentioned to me about that.
Huh. I didn't know it was that recent because I was pretty sure Parker had been on a playset between the 75 for a while,
Mhm.
but yeah, maybe there are just some small differences there.
I mean, I'm pretty sure. I mean, they definitely deserve the credit. Like, they played Snuff Out at least in some copies for years, and we only are like kind of new to it, so to speak.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's good. So game 2.
Oof.
This hand, I can't remember if I kept this or not. Would you keep it?
I would, but I wouldn't love it.
Yeah, I kept it.
Yeah,
Kind of priced another turn one by you.
exactly right. We're accepting we lose the Wasteland this game. I think the turn two play is probably Green Sun in. Oh no, okay, that changes things. I was gonna say if they don't, you know, kill our dork, we probably Green Sun for one into Gris.
So, oh god, yeah, I just remembered. I remember that this game is where I make the first very egregious error of my run.
Mm.
Um, so they snuff out this arbor, and I fetch another arbor.
Ooh, I was gonna say you're lucky they didn't have another snuff out there.
Yeah, and then I thought for a minute.
Oh, please don't tell me you cast up the. Oh, that was brutal.
No, I think I was playing around days here. This isn't what I meant when I said I made an error. That was just me not wanting to jam Gris into days.
I think if it were me there, I think I would do two things differently. I probably don't risk the arbor dying to snuff out a second snuff out there because I think we're just too backbreaking. So I probably would have fetched a second value. I think given that you already did that, I probably would have played the Reclaimer off the Dryad Arbor and run the first Grist into days and tick up because you have a second one.
Yeah, probably could have been a lot cleaner.
But that's me too, though. I play more in today's than probably most people.
Oh yeah. So here's the egregious error.
Oh,
I tried to play around days while utilizing the Zenith, but forgot my other arbor was already dead. And I just like I typed at him and I was like, "Oh my god." Like, like that sucked. I'm so stupid.
the
Uh
ultimate
and
punishes days here.
I cast Gris and I'm like, Hold on, do I type it here?" I typed this before he put it on the stack. I was like, "Daze me, do it," and he apologizes. I was like, "No, no, it's deserved. Like,
uh,
it is not your fault. That is totally my bad." Like, I was like, "Nah, it's chill. It's all good." Like, these errors happen, and I just kind of like, I'm like, "It's okay. We got a second grist. We'll just go for it next turn." Hit me for 6, and then I draw endurance, I go for the grist, he makes
yeah.
forest.
So so
Ouch.
so that's the other thing, right? Like mistakes in this deck are super punishing because you don't have the cheese people with glimpse later on to make up for it, so to speak.
Yeah.
But I've been there. Hey, don't beat yourself up too much. I will announce to the chat. I've made the exact mistake Kern has made many times. Like, because we always assume we have another arbor, and every once in a while, I'm just gonna like, tunnel vision into a line where I want to ramp or just end up turn fetch arbor, and suddenly it's like, oh shoot, I don't have any more. So what Kern just did right now is a play. I don't know. I can't speak for other people, but I make the same mistake all the time.
Oh, yeah, so they end a turn fetch for Mystic Sanctuary, targeting expressive,
Mm-hmm.
and I respond with endurance because I'm not interested in that outcome. They end up dazing it. I
Whew.
pay for it.
That's a
I,
clean.
I fetch and pay for it. Yeah.
That's a very heads up play from our opponent here. I mean, I wouldn't expect anything less, right? Juju's very good.
Yeah. Obviously the Murktide gets a bunch of counters, but that's okay. The Endurance is here to just block the Murktide. That's the
Anyway,
whole
right?
purpose. But DRC being DRC, kind of good.
Yeah.
They turn on Delirium immediately, and I lose. So that's the loss that I took to Juju in the Swiss.
Have no fear. Our hero here, Kern, has a redemption arc.
Yep, just living the anime tropes, all of them.
So I have a quick question for you, Kern, since we're on that topic. That mistake, I know I mentioned right now that I make that mistake a lot. Is that a mistake you make a lot, or is it just a one time thing you did, or few time thing there?
It happens a lot less. Usually I'm more conscious of counting my arbors before like fetching or doing anything like that, but for some reason I was like totally tunnel visioned in on like trying to get value out of the zenith and then also play around days and like get max value, that
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing, and I just absolutely ruined myself.
Okay, so it sounds like
So
that's something you're actually pretty good about keeping track because I know I will tunnel vision a lot, and unfortunately, you don't always have the second arbor left.
yeah, it's one of the most important things to keep track of, I think, for a lot of different lines, like fetching for Fiend Artisan food, fetching to like get Cradle mana a little higher into the spell you want to cast, things like that. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, this hand, I kept because it's overall pretty strong. In just a random game. This is game 1 versus round 7, which actually happens to be Reanimator, as we come to find out. The turn 1 Reclaimer, very good in this case.
Mm-hmm.
But our opponent, unfortunately, has the actual nuts. Dark Ritual into a Thoughtseize preemptively to take care of my endurance,
Mm-hmm.
into an Entomb, picking Archon of Cruelty
Oh
into
my
Reanimate.
god.
GG the end. There is no coming back from that without.
Yeah, I don't think so. For those who don't know, we have zero outs to a turn one Archon of Cruelty. Literally zero.
Yeah, They say Gristlebrand is the thing you should 100% grab when you learn Reanimator, and
Hmm.
I think that's almost true,
Hmm.
except specifically against us, you should grab Archon.
I think it depends on the board state. I think there are like very corner cases where you potentially can like end step turn two, have an arbor and then hope to top deck the grist turn three. But it's like a lot asking a lot.
Yeah, it definitely is. So, that game one did not go well, but we walk into game two, and I think I just keep a pretty insano hand, if I remember correctly. Oh, oh no, it's this hand. So, hey, what do you think of this hand?
I would keep.
Okay, because I kept. I was like, I'm gonna put a lot of faith into this, and see what happens.
Also,
Uh,
really heads up play here. Not playing the arbor turn one. For those who haven't played this matchup much, arbor being a pitch to endurance super relevant.
oh yeah, it's absolutely huge. It's just a free pitch. They start with the Badlands, and I fetch an Arbor end of turn into drawing
Woo!
Thoughtseize, which was very good for me. I take a look at their hand, and this is what I see. What is the take and why?
Um, I feel like so they have the combo right. Like they can either looting into exhume, uh, and then they have grief potentially pitching something. Depends. I protect endurance in the trap. That's reasonable, Mike. My gut would have been to take the looting, but I think Mike is that's a reasonable. So what did you take?
You're both wrong. It's Exhume. uh, and I'll tell you why. I didn't like the idea of taking Faithless Looting because I could see them just playing a land and playing the pedal and flashing it back.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like taking the Grief
They
because
can
I
exhume it.
honestly that yeah, that they can exhume it, and honestly, I like if they just want to evoke into it, that's totally fine. I don't care. Like
Mm-hmm.
I've got like a million things to deal,
Mm-hmm.
and then obviously taking the Grizzlebrand is not great. So I just arrived to the exhume off that. And I swing in for one.
That's actually a very good reasoning there, right? I like a reasoning that they can just flashback the looting and it's kind of bad. So I think taking the reanimation spell is like reasonable.
Yeah, and I mean overall, I'm feeling pretty protected. They draw an unmask because they pitch it to grief, so we have perfect information on their hand at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So the grief comes down and they take endurance. And then they faithless looting, and I'm like, okay, well they can't reanimate now because they've played two spells. Mindbreak Trap is live. So they Badlands into a pedal, and so they discarded Gristlebrand and also pedal. So
I think that was
we
pretty loose
know,
on their end because they know you have Gaia's blessing.
yeah, exactly. That's what I thought. I was like, honestly, when I was boarding for this matchup and I read the guide, I was like, he's bringing blessing for this matchup, but is it really gonna be good? Is it really gonna do something?
I
Like,
love
because
it.
the sorcery speed, like, where do I get to interact here? But lo and behold, my opponent has given me Gaia's blessing food. So
You're
here we
probably
are.
thinking, "Damn it, Newton's right again."
Yeah, I'm like, how could you be so genius to know this would work? And then I drew an endurance,
Oh
and
my god, that's just
I put back
embarrassment of
literally
riches.
Crystal Brand and Grief, just because like those were the livest things they had going on. Um, So they go to their next turn and just pass it back. I draw another endurance, so I just hold up to flash one in end of turn so I can do like try to get a natural order kill here.
For sure. Yeah, that's fair.
And I still have protection in the event they somehow have it. I also go and just grab grist here in case things go real bad because I needed more bodies anyway for the kill. They don't rip anything and they just concede here. So
Yeah, I
that's
think.
game two.
What was I gonna say? One of the lines some people may miss too with endurance. We can endurance ourselves in case we need to put a bog back in the matchup. That can
Yeah,
come up.
that's true. That can come up. Um, so this is game three. This is the opener. Do you keep or do you mulligan?
I definitely keep this hand.
Snap keep.
Yeah,
Snap keep.
this is almost like two full pieces of hate, right? Because the chalice I count like half of because you have to get to turn two, and then the trap is like half. So I count this almost like two pieces of hate.
See, I wanted to believe, and I did believe, and I kept, but this hand loses to a very simple thing, and that is one copy of Unmask. They take the Mind Break trap, they have the Entomb, and they have the Reanimate.
I mean, I don't think we're beating that in most situations. So, outside of
This is where,
outside of Leyline of the Void, I don't think we're beating
right,
that.
this is where I kicked myself. I'm like, I should have just molded Leyline of the Void. Of course, they were gonna have a discard spell because that's all this deck does. It plays free discard spells. So like having one piece of turn zero interaction is bad, and maybe I should have just mulliganed to either Leyline or having like double endurance or mind break trap plus endurance or just some form of two turn zero pieces of interaction.
So for what
uh
it's worth, current, I think that I don't think I would do that only because there's only like pieces of turn zero interaction in the deck. So the odds of having two is very low.
Yeah, so it would have been like
It's like
either
Leyline or
mold
bust
that
almost, right?
or mold a ley line. Yeah, exactly. So you kind of like I in hindsight should have mulliganed, but like at the time I was like this mind break trap is all I need to survive, and yeah, it just sadly it did not pan. But because I started 5-0, I was top of the X2s and able to top 8 into the 5th seed, where we got paired into the quarterfinals against Blue Red Delver.
Nice. Mine also brings up a good point about any discard beating that hand. That is accurate because they can go turn one discard, turn two combo, right? Like, and I think that's actually merit why we should probably play the fourth seas, right? Because the two cards there that are the ones that we potentially would cut for the fourth seas and maybe the second Force of Vigor, right? And if one of those is the second seas, we don't win that hand, but we probably beat most of their other hands.
Right, exactly. It's just the turn one nuts that we can't.
Yeah, I think given
But
the context of of how our deck was built, I probably would have kept that again, right? Like even though we had full information of what happened, I think it was the right play, personally.
for sure. Um okay, so we go into quarterfinals against Blue Red, and we keep this sweet looking hand. I just love seeing stuff out so much. It's just such a good card.
Yeah, I think it's. I mentioned this to my Discord that, and you know this, current. I think we were, sheep, so to speak, in the sense that for the longest time, we probably should have been playing Snuff Out Main. And we didn't just because we were just a little bit scared to change, you know what I mean, right? Change is scary. Like, we've never done main deck removal before. And in hindsight, it's 2020. We should have had Snuff Out and probably the second Grist main this entire time and just didn't do it until we were forced to, so to speak.
Yeah, I love it though. We were forced into innovation, so we grabbed the mana elf here just to make a powerful turn one play and kind of be able to hold on to Zenith for whatever we might need. They start with Flooded Strand into Valk into Bolt. Nasty, but what are you gonna do about it? We did draw a Cradle, which is kind of sweet. I think I went Shepherd into Zenith here.
Yeah, I would have done exact perfect sequencing here. Protect your ramp.
Yep. Brain Train, and they're locked with no land drop.
Woo! Love to see it.
Yeah. This would have been cool to have Progenitus in the main deck for this situation, but
Agreed.
it is what it is. We just kind of have to accept it and just go for the next turn kill instead. But you know, I think things are fine. Oh yeah, they chain lightning. I respond while endurance can't be countered. Send their graveyard back.
Heads up play for sure.
Just in case they ever draw a threat, I guess. It's super dead.
Yeah, here actually, yeah, the main deck Progenitus would have been nice, but I think there is a reasonable chance that second endurance is the one that is in play right now. So there is a chance we probably can't even cast the natural order anyways.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. I didn't think about it like that. Yeah, so they snuff out or they bolt the Dryad Arbor. We draw a third snuff out just in case, like we got to be really sure that whatever
I'll,
they play is gonna die.
for what it's worth, I actually think, even though we don't have the Progenitus in the deck, I think I would have actually snapped off the natural order just to try to get Grist, right? And just tick up.
Yeah, I guess that would have been pretty good. But they have Murktide, and I'm like, oh ho ho, buddy, don't you know what I got for you? Here's the stuff out. And then I draw Fiend Artisan, so that's pretty sick. It gets dazed, we pay for it, they daze it again, oh no.
Yeah, I think they have no choice, right? If an artisan sticks, they're losing the game.
Yeah, they flip their Delver, but I snuff it out. Fetch land, I natural order, they have Force of Will, pitch Brainstorm, I go in for 3, they go to 1.
Hoof there would have been lethal, right? I'm assuming.
Yeah, it would have
Okay.
been. They have to Bolt Heat it
The
to stay
desperation 2 for
alive.
1.
They are at 0 cards in hand, so at the mercy of our top deck, we draw Grizzly Bears.
Who said Collector Oof was a good main deck against Delver?
And we win with a oof swing, boom boom. Delver, be scared of my 2/2 for 2.
You know what's
No
one of
Blizzard
the
Bubbles for you.
you know what's one of those gratifying situations? I'm sure it comes up every once in a while for you. Is where they happen to have the bauble like after the fact that it's in the board. You know what I'm talking about?
It is funny when that happens. It's like, oof.
It definitely is a oof. That's for sure.
And we move into game 2. Let's see what kind of hand we get here. Oh, that's spicy.
Ooh, interesting. You brought in the chalice, so I'd be curious what you kept out.
Oh, I only I cut the cards. I cut the 3 natural order, the 1 hoof, and the 1 oofy, and I bring in 2 copies of Vendetta, 2 copies of Endurance, and 1 copy of Chalice.
Oh, I see. You didn't bring the Gaia's blessing.
Oh yeah, no. I decided not to this time. I decided I wanted to see what Chalice would do in the matchup, and I think it actually worked out pretty well for me.
Oh, nice.
All
Okay, I'm glad to hear that. Like I was un. It's close, I think. Right? Like Chalice can randomly just screw over the Delver player.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely see an argument for either side. I think it's just kind of how you're feeling. Like that
Also, how you think your opponent's gonna play matters too.
yeah. I probably should have slowed down there. I kind of wanted to see what that was.
You can just it's quick. You can just like rewind it. I think like yeah.
Unfortunately, I wish there was a rewind button. That
I
would be
know, right? They need to implement this in replays.
we should put it on the forum.
Reclaimer, Endurance, Artisan.
Just literally all the best
I
cards,
know,
just
right?
all of them. And I think I took Reclaimer here,
I would definitely take
though.
Reclaimer too.
Yeah, though I kind of thought it was weird afterwards because I was like, wait, I want to play this Chalice on one, like, but especially after the bullet, that was kind of brutal because now it's like, ooh, I might have to lock myself out, but I don't think I end up trying to jam it next turn. Oh yeah, they just go for like crazy delirium stuff. Oh yeah, so we play Findhorn Elves into the Reclaimer.
Hmm.
No days. Good to check. They chain lightning out the Reclaimer into an abrade on the Findhorn Elves. So they're just all in on this Dragon's Rage Channeler, it
Yeah,
looks
yeah. I
like.
think you just main phase the Endurance here.
Yeah, so that was a big thought. Like, this was a very interesting decision point here because there were about a million different ways I could play this.
Hmm.
Um, with that snuff out drawn, I know you just said you would main phase the endurance. Would you still main phase the endurance and just hold snuff out?
I think given that is that right? I'm reading right. Two creatures, no, three creatures in the yard.
Yeah, we have 3 creatures in yard.
I think given that there's a wasteland on the other side too. I think I would definitely just like play the Endurance in today's here.
So after much thinking, I arrived to the same decision point. And I main phase the endurance, and it does stick, and I do get rid of their yard, and I'm just like, cool.
Right. There's a good chance we're gonna have to use the Green Sun for ramp again, because of the
Yeah.
wasteland. And if they daze the Endurance there, then we just snuff out the DRC, right?
So the wasteland's going at the bayou. Now the old me, like, oh, if it was me playing months ago, I
Uh
think I would have snapped off the snuff out in response just to be like, oh, it's an opportunity
huh.
cost thing. Like, but this, I was like, no, wait, like this Chandler is not really like all that scary in the long run because I have the endurance. Like the scariest thing to me is Murktide Regent. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
I should just hold this. So I ended up holding it, which I
Mm-hmm.
thought like I mentally checked myself on that one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if that is correct overall, but it seemed okay to me.
Mm-hmm. I think I probably, given that we're not guaranteed to draw another black source for a while, I probably would have fired off the snuff out because I think there's a chance we don't get to use it later. And then, not to mention, the DRC can really dig for the Murktide. But I can see why you kept it because you have the Endurance on board already.
Oh yeah, so this is where I go for the chalice on one, and it resolves.
Nice.
I decided to get aggressive. They play a channeler into the chalice, which was confusing because they already had a creature in the
I
graveyard,
think
so
that
they didn't increase
I, th-
delirium.
I think it could be to cast a Murktide region.
Oh yeah, okay, that makes sense. But we find the bayou and we jam a zenith into uh for the
Artisan.
fiend
Oh, I
artisan.
love it.
Yeah,
Actually, your patience gets rewarded here, right? Now you have extra protection. You just don't really care about the channeler, right? With the
right,
chalice resolve.
exactly. Yeah. It feels so much, it just feels clean, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, so Mystic Sanctuary gets back expressive, no big. We draw an Arbor, which I think I turn into. Oh no, I just end up zenithing for another Artisan and beating.
Makes sense. We're just on the beatdown plan.
They iterate and they concede.
I love it. This is like a perfect board state, right? Just X4 tribal.
Yep, just get out of here, Delver. You can't beat the number 4. So we go into the semifinals with the repair into Juju Bean. And I'm like, all right, we meet again. I rematch. So, uh, kind of awkward, but you know, to have the double once upon a time, but this hand is solid.
Otherwise, yeah.
overall. So we fetch out a basic just kind of once, and we see more mana elves and more fetch and more dryad. I think I end up taking Llanowar here or Findhorn, whichever one.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense.
Uh, Findhorn. Oh yeah, and also I got the Once Upon a Time bug and disconnected 3 times during that, which was highly stressful.
Oh, I
Uh,
hate it.
like, oh my god, during a top 4 match, like, it's like, don't do this right now, please."
For those
I
who don't know, the once upon a time bug is when you try to resize the window and it just like freezes the or crashes the server or the client.
Yeah, it's just the worst. So with them having played out Chandler, I just decided this would be a good opportunity to force through a Green Sun Zenith for 1 getting Reclaimer.
Mm-hmm.
They ponder, flip a ponder into the yard, choose to shuffle and play a Mystic Sanctuary. We draw a fetch like an absolute champion, and then just play the Zenith because Shepard's out, getting grist.
Whew.
Yeah, we love to see it.
I know, and especially since they don't have anything like the key thing is they don't have either bauble or creature in the yard yet, so likely that they cannot flip the DRC to Delirium here.
Yeah, and they kept on top with their surveil trigger here off this expressive iteration, which was kind of concerning.
Mm-hmm.
They fetch Misty for the Underground Sea, so it's like, uh-oh, Snuff Out is real. They flip a creature into the yard, but Dragon's Rage Chandler doesn't turn on, and it doesn't look like there's any copy of Snuff Out coming for me. I draw my own copy.
Must be
Once upon
nice.
a time, find the cradle, tick up,
And then
play
force the
cradle,
chump block, yeah.
play the Llanowar out. Oh, no, I just snuff it, and they daze. Oh, right, yeah, this is so I have to tap down one of my attackers to pay for the days, which is sad. But then they force pitching force. I'm like, whatever, just get it. I don't activate after they don't block because I figured it would be better to hold up against like damage based removal.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I'm still feeling like I'm gonna get in there and win anyway.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You only lose really to and not to mention they have snuff out, so you can get really punished. I get well. I think given that they're at 10, yeah, you get punished by the wasteland is the one concern.
Oh yeah, yeah. So that's actually what ends up happening here. But I activate the shepherd, and they bolt it in response. Uh, no way really around that, but we launch the team at him, put him to 3, tick up, just
Continue to go wide, yeah. No, I
yeah.
I think I think I would have activated because even they snuff out, that's a lot of life that they lose there. And
Oh
again,
yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I guess the activation would have been better. I should have been more bloodthirsty here. What's wrong with me? What the hell? Anyway, we still got there,
no, no,
but
no. I think aside from that, I think I would have played it exactly how you played it.
and then we go into game 2, uh, which shows us this hand, which is pretty decent. I just like having land drops,
For sure.
obviously.
I think if the arbor were like something else, this hand is probably pretty ideal. But otherwise, it's still really strong.
If it were a snuff out,
Yeah, I
maybe.
know. It's crazy how good Snuff Out is. Is it crazy to
Okay.
say Snuff Out might be the second best card of the deck right now?
Do you remember how I was advocating for Wasteland right now because of the stupid snuff out splash that this deck is specifically doing? This would have been such a good spot to be like, oh, Wasteland you off like Underground Sea. Now your snuff outs are all dead cards.
to be
Like,
to be fair, the snuff out. Sorry, not the snuff out. The wasteland slot is the lair of the Hydra, and it's not like it's in your hand right now.
That's true, but what if it's in the Once Upon a Time?
That's true.
Well, now it doesn't matter because I made we'll never really know.
Yeah, we'll never really know because the sequencing would be different, right?
Yep. So obviously we take Reclaimer here because it's the best card to grab.
It's really the only card because you're a little bit flooded here.
Yeah, and I Zenith off because we want to regain tempo if we can.
Mm-hmm.
Get wasted, no problem. Play out an Arbor and just like no fear days because they don't have a threat right now.
Hmm.
Uh,
I think I would have probably played the Bayou, and the reasoning being is because I don't think we. I think we want to have two reclaimers, and then if in case they have the one removal, right?
oh, I guess so. Yeah, I just put Arbor out because it seemed like a good opportunity cost, and I didn't mind hanging on to the other cards because,
Mm-hmm.
like, if Arbor somehow dies in the process, like, at least this Reclaimer becomes bigger.
Right, right, right. That's fair.
Uh, so I don't know. I guess yeah, it was. They do have snuff out here for this Reclaimer, which is kind of a bummer.
Oh, that
Uh,
looks like a Murktide is coming.
yeah, and then Murktide comes down, but hey, it's okay. Never didn't have it. Drew snuff out, snuffed it out, dies. Play Reclaimer here and just hold up Once Upon a Time.
Hmm.
They Expressive, which is a good sign for us.
Yeah, I typically refer to that as the panic expressive iteration.
Yeah, they played Delver. We once into an Allosaurus Shepherd. I probably should have slowed down there, but I'm not going back. Sorry. Uh, but I think the Shepherd was a great grab because now it just allows us to clown with the Zenith.
Right, right, right.
Absolutely. Just get a grist. Bing bong. Just get it in there.
The best
They,
would have been you hit a throw, you mill a land too, right? Then the reclaimer grows.
yeah,
Just
but
have it all.
good news is Delver didn't flip here. They Mystic Sanctuary back expressive. They play Channeler and they have to pass.
Ooh, that is a
Uh,
clutch miss for us.
yeah, that was kind of huge. I end up holding on to the Shepherd just to play around general board wiping, but I send everybody in to see if there are going to be any trades. Activate Shepherd, put him to 4. The expressive goes off into another expressive, and that's the match.
Nice. Well played.
Thank you, thank you. Um, and now we go into the heartbreaking finals.
Sadly, I already know how this ends. Or we are.
Sadly, we already know. So we know we're up what we're up against at this point. And I'm thinking, well, I'll probably have to just try to mull for endurance here. Because like I could have turn one reclaimer, but the problem is that their average hand moves like to reanimate a thing on turn 2.
Yeah,
So
I think given that we have two endurance on the deck, and given that we know 100% from the round 7 that they're on Reanimator, I think we have to mold. I think we only keep if we're the play.
yeah, we mold a 6, and this is what we see. So we send it back again. Then we mold a 5. Then we mold to 4, and I'm just sitting here like at this point, it's not good. I'm just gonna try to keep this and see if I can do anything with it.
Mm.
Uh, didn't draw endurance, so yep. They grab Archon, and then it's night night. They thought C's just a check, but it wouldn't have mattered if because I would have just pitched in response. But that was game 1. Game 2. Game 2 was an absolutely broken hand, if I recall. Yeah, yeah, it is. So
Two layers of protection plus a Thoughtseize to strip their answer.
yep. Or yeah, exactly. And I thought Seas, and I took a Dark Ritual here. Their hand, besides that, is now Animate Dead, Unmasked, Crystal Brand, and Bloodstained Mire.
Hmm.
The reason that I took Dark Ritual is because the way I've lost with Leyline in play before is to Dark Ritual, Dark Ritual, Dark Ritual, Crystal Brand. Uh, Maybe that's a fear that's a little bit ridiculous, but it's happened. And so I just didn't want to deal with that.
I think your logic is okay. I just think the hand that they have is not realistic towards that at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, probably not. But if they go runner, 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 like it could happen. Our
I think they're
clock
more likely to draw the answer to the ley line for what it's worth.
for sure. Uh, Again, irrational fear, but
No, I've been in that position where that has happened to me, where it's like, really?
yeah. But we end up grabbing Artisan here, and we're just kind of looking to close the game as soon as possible.
Is there a reason why you didn't get grist there?
Cause I think I just wanted to like move towards the hoof kill.
Hmm.
My top deck Green Sun Zenith anyway.
Yeah,
Get
I
the
think I
hook.
probably would have got the grist because it would probably be good in case they happen to have show and tell. The other reasoning is because even if they somehow deal with Leyline of the Void, like you technically buy yourself at least a turn, right? With the grist.
Yeah, that's fair. So on this hand, we mold this because for many reasons.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's not keepable.
this is our six. And I tanked pretty hard on this decision. What do you think?
This one's tough because it loses to one piece of interaction here, but then they kept.
They did mulligan to six,
I
so
probably would keep then if they mulligan.
yeah, that is what ended up pushing it for me. I was like, if they've mulliganed already, I think this is an acceptable keep. And that's what I did. Uh, and they start with a verdant and pass. So I draw a land, like super helpful. Uh, and Green Sun
Ooh,
for
I think I would have played this a little bit differently,
really.
given the given the texture of your hand. I think normally I want to chalice on one, but because I have the endurance plus pitch arbor, and because Green Sun in my eyes is a reclaimer, I probably would chalice on zero here to not to because I know what my turn two play is gonna be. It's gonna be reclaimer.
Okay,
Normally
gotcha.
I would chalice on one though, for what it's worth, but I think given the texture of our hand here, I might have played that differently, and then like not lose to pedal hands or whatever. They might have, but then it depends, right? Yeah, you could just pass too. That's reasonable.
Yeah, so they dark ritual into the show and tell, which it doesn't look like.
Notably, the chalice here that should be, potentially Thoughtseize, right, would have helped a lot.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I put in the endurance just to put a body on the board, but they draw a million cards
Mm-hmm.
and do their thing, do the dance, and they put Iona out. That's just lights.
Yeah, unfortunately. Hey, still a good run though, Current. I think you played very well over the course of that's a lot of rounds, 10 rounds.
Yeah, it was a big day. But yeah, thank you. It was a lot of fun. Deck is still very, very good. Uh, yeah, kind of need to change the configuration to what we were talking about right now, but I still have it from when I played. Oh yeah, gotta cut that layer.
So you
maybe.
don't think the lair is worth it just for cage hedging?
Maybe. I'm still up in the air on this card.
I, I do think the trap needs to probably be cut, and maybe we just play the fourth C's and the second Force of Vigor, and then obviously for those who don't know,
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
my wife just told me apparently because LeBron James is on the verge of breaking the all-time scoring record right now. He's 2 points away. Sorry. So, but yeah, go ahead. Yeah, I think I would probably play the second Force of Vigor and the fourth Thoughtseize. And then, for those who don't know, Atraxa is probably a card that will replace Progenitus. Gut feeling, you think that should be a main deck card or a sideboard card?
I would like to experiment with it main
Mm-hmm.
because I want to get as much mileage out of it as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I will be moving the endurance to the sideboard, moving what would be Atraxa to the main, and testing it.
For sure, for sure. No, that yeah, I think my gut feeling is I think I want Atraxa main too because it's just too versatile and always comes in.
Yeah, it just seems it seems very good. And I know we're talking about maybe saying goodbye to our good friend here, Allosaurus Shepherd.
I
Um,
think based on the watching you today, Shepard was actually pretty good when you drew it. So I'm more reluctant to cut it now than I was maybe before the stream started. The third Shepherd, arguably is the worst card in the deck, but I think the first two copies definitely showed at least their worth in today's stream. What do you think?
Yeah, because like the balance I saw there was that like I was bottoming my initial one even in matchups where it's like considered decent.
Uh huh.
So it makes me believe that two may be correct because it's like something we can call upon on with Greens and Zenith. You know, it's findable on Once Upon a Time. It's super findable with Fiend Artisan. Like if we need it, we need it. You know, that kind of thing versus like having to just have it naturally.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, if a deck like 8 cast was more prevalent, I might feel a bit differently. But I think right now, the way the metagame is altogether,
Uh huh.
is I think we can probably end up cutting one Shepherd if we're looking to replace it. I saw in the Discord that there was a mention of Sylvan Safekeeper in regards to protecting Atraxa when they're on the field.
Mm-hmm.
I have concerns. I don't love sacking lands
No. Go
just
ahead. Go.
for and not replacing them. It seems like a really bad idea to set yourself back on lands. I mean, Atraxa seems like something that would end the game early, so I
Mm-hmm.
can kind of see the argument for it, but I definitely have like a few concerns in that regard.
No, for sure. I think what convinced me today is two different things. The two cards that we were considering maybe in that slot is maybe playing. I'm always trying to squeeze out our sideboard slot, so maybe playing the Plague Engineer main. The problem is multiple times today that would have really hurt our opening hand because not only is Plague Engineer very situational in my opinion, it being a three drop in my opinion is also a big problem when we already have Atraxa, entering the main board being another uncastable card, right? Like, and I think Shepherd being a one drop is really valuable. And while Sylvan Safekeeper is a one drop, based on the games I saw today, I don't think we want to be sacrificing lands. I agree with you on that sentiment, based on what I saw today at least.
Yeah, that's kind of my gut feeling on that for right now. But I mean, I could see like cutting the shepherd for something more powerful. I just don't know what that card would be quite yet. So
If I
my
were go ahead.
uh Might need to explore that a little more. Go ahead.
If it were me, I think the only changes we would make right now, based on seeing the extensive, and again, congratulations to Curran. That was a very stellar play that I've saw throughout the entire event. I mean, I always joke because I like to nitpick like here and there, but those little things on the margins can matter. Luckily, they for the most part didn't. I think they sometimes did, but you ended up either it not mattering because you made top eight anyways, or you won in spite of it. Or but I think what is important to me is like stability and mana, and like I said, the changes that we were thinking about, I think hurts the mana. So Atraxa coming in, it's definitely gonna make the curve a little bit more awkward. So maybe the endurance goes to the sideboard. I think the real decision left to be made is whether we want the layer or not. And my gut at the moment tells me probably still want it. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's a very cute out to Grafdigger's Cage,
Which
and
we have
like,
no outs to at the moment.
yeah, like, which we're very cold to. And I think I'm gonna keep playing it until I have a bad time with it.
Mhm.
Um, before I consider cutting it. But right now, like, we saw it turn into a 6/6, forcing a construct trade in that mono black matchup.
Oh, that was
You know,
huge. If that was a fetch, we lose the game. I think.
yeah, like, we were dead, like, without that. It
Uh
was
huh.
insane. So I don't know. Lair's still a pet for sure.
Yeah, I think if our boys here, Rob, they'll know that we can't cut two hydras, right? We can only cut one, right? If we're going away from progenitus.
Yeah, that's true. We're gonna be waving goodbye to the Hydra Avatar. See you later, soul of the world.
All right. Cyborg, what do you think about the changes that I proposed here? The second force of vigor. I think for sure we want the C's, like especially if show and tell out of the reanimator sideboard again. Like we want to give reanimator the hope that they can beat us. We don't actually want to lose like we did right now.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I think Second Force of Vigor is also a very good take. I think that card is very powerful whenever I do have it. It's just like a very nice cushion.
hmm
So
Yeah, I think that all makes sense. Any parting words you want to leave chat here? I'm gonna post your Twitter page again. For those who don't follow Current, please do. Um, Again, always having fun with you on here, and I am glad we were able to do this again.
yeah, I was super excited to come back, and I was like, when I was talking, I was like, "Oh yeah, review stream's coming up now." Like, so, yeah, no, always a pleasure. Always good to touch base too. I mean, this is a small learning experience because there were a couple of things I could have definitely done a lot better. Um, and it's always good to touch base and remember those things. And implement them the next time, like the next situation. So I really appreciate, the guidance as well that
No,
I get from
I
these.
oh sorry, I didn't mean to cut you up. Go ahead.
No, that was it. That was all of that.
Obviously I know I'm being very nitpicky, but like I want to say like for those who I want to reiterate, Curran played very well, and again, the things I'm talking about are like very minor and mistakes that I probably have made myself like pretty often. So again, we want to play perfectly. It's not realistic in my opinion to play perfectly for an entire tournament, and I think Curran played very well. This is a learning experience for most of the people watching, so that's why I was nitpicking. Not the in Curran's defense, he played very well. I want to reiterate.
I appreciate that, and I look forward. I'll be playing the Sunday challenge again for sure this weekend, and I may try to get froggy and hop at the Saturday challenge, even though it's more than likely a bad idea because every time after F&M on Fridays, I go to my friend's house and we drink and hang out with our friends and like people, you know, like we don't leave until very early morning hours, and I might go home and like try to play at home. I might just log on there and try again, but if I do it, I'm gonna try not to pass out. We'll see.
For those who don't know, like I mentioned, Curran started the Saturday Challenge undefeated, and he lost to himself because he passed out from. Obviously, I don't blame him. He had a good time Friday night.
Round four was just like the funniest thing in the world because I remember like losing game one in a pretty close game against Delver, and then game two, I literally have no memory except coming to, and I see that it's turn 10 and my opponent is attacking for lethal in the air,
Mhm.
and there are just like cards in the graveyard, and I don't know how they got there.
That's
It
pretty
doesn't
hilarious.
look like I discarded. It looks like I played the game, but and then I just fell asleep before round five. But 19th place, the good old 3-2 cash drop, worked out.
Yeah, that's an awesome story. I couldn't stop laughing when I saw that. All right. So with that said, I don't want to take up any more of your time. Any parting words, or are we good to go? Thanks everybody for tuning in Twitch chat. But Kieran, I'll let you have the last word here.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in. Thanks again to Newton for hosting. As always, it's a great time to hang out. And I do look forward to hopefully the next challenge review. I guess we'll see y'all next time.
Perfect. All right. Let's pick somebody to raid here. Any recommendations?
Let me see if I have anybody that I'm following that's on right now. Dang, nobody that I'm following. What's going on in the Magic the Gathering? Uh,
Or if chat has anybody, that's fine too. I can raid whoever chat wants. Ooh, Lord Beerus is playing limited prelim plus legacy. So
yeah. Go invade Lord Beerus, I think.
since it's related content, right? All right,
Yep.
we are starting the raid, and thanks again for hanging out. We'll got to do this again real soon, Curran.
Yep. Real soon.
All right, take care, chat. I'm raid Beerus right now.